welcome to Charlie's Mailbox, where I answer actual questions from actual people in my inbox. This week's question came about when we transitioned to our new website. And for a brief time, the portal page, actually the CVU page itself, was not available. And so folks were asking, how do I get to the portal so I can take attendance in PowerSchool? We'll generalize that to how do I get to a needed site when the portal is not available? Before we answer that question, just wanted to point out that there is this Connect with Us button that's on pretty much every page in our new site. And if you do notice anything while you're navigating, maybe something's missing or there's a broken link or that sort of thing, that does come up when you change over the website. Just let us know. Click there, fill out the form, and we will take care of it. All right, let's get into it. Let's click on the portal. And before I go to these links, I should also point out there's a PowerSchool link up here. That is for students and families. That's not for teachers taking attendance. So you want the PowerSchool link that's down here under the faculty staff links. So this should look familiar, the global links, all these Google tools, jump rope, etc. And then down here, the more faculty staff specific things. The important thing to understand is that all these are icons that are linked to websites. When you click the icon, it takes you to the site. So even if you don't have the portal available, you can still go to these sites simply by knowing their address. So, for example, if I hover over, say, PowerSchool attendance, and you look on the lower left, you can see it says https://cvsdvt.powerschool.com/teachers. And no, you don't need to remember the whole thing. I'll show you why in just a moment. And it's true for each of these icons. They're just going to different addresses, as you can see on the lower left. So, for example, the Google tools, it turns out that the Drive icon just goes to drive.google.com. The Mail icon goes to mail.google.com. And for that reason, if you simply go to those URLs directly, you can skip the portal altogether. Let me show you how. I'm going to come up here. Google calls this the omnibox, or you might think of it as the address bar, or whatever you want to call it. Chrome and other browsers remember, they have history, so they know what sites you've been to before, unless you clear out the history. And so if you simply start typing what it is you're trying to get to, it's going to do a pretty good job of remembering. So if I want to get to Google Drive, I'm going to start typing Drive, D-R, look, it already found it. It's really that simple. Tip for Google things, instead of typing Google, type the name of the application. For example, Mail to get to Gmail, right? Cal to get the calendar. CLA will get you into Classroom. I'll just prove it, CLA. There it is, the very first link. Now, I want to be clear. Other things may come up as well. If you look down here, you can see I've got Monica Burns, classtechtips.com. Looks like I have an Ed puzzle with a CLA. So you'll get anything with CLA in it, but it'll do a pretty good job of always showing you first the most common or the most frequently visited sites. Now, I do want to say that something like this, the theater and event registration, I use this form maybe once or twice a year, so I'm not going to bother to try to remember what that is or what to start typing. For that, I would come to the portal and I would click on the link. Oh, and there's the form. It's docs.google. There's no way that I'm going to remember that, or it's not going to be in my history because I only visited it very infrequently. So I'm not saying don't use the portal, but just think about when you really need it versus when you don't. Now, for PowerSchool, it is helpful to know that it begins with CVS DVT, and then it goes to PowerSchool. So if I start typing, I always start typing CVS, and there it is. And by the way, if you get several suggestions, you may want to go with the one that's the cleanest. Like this is the one I'm looking for, powerschool.com/teachers. Sometimes when you get a really long URL like this, it's a specific page on the site that you may not need to go to. So I'm going to go to this one right here, and that's going to bring me into my PowerSchool, or my PowerTeacher as it's called. One last thing I want to point out is if you use multiple devices, maybe your Chromebook at school, but you have a different computer at home or different something in your office, whatever. If you have sync turned on, which means if you go to your Chrome account and you turn on sync, you log into Chrome essentially, then the history on that account across your devices is also remembered. So if you visited a page on one device and then you go to a different device and start typing, it'll remember that you were there. So it makes it even easier to get to sites quickly. Let me show you one more thing about history. If I come over to the three dots here, okay, and I come down to history in Chrome, you'll see a couple of things. One, here are the tabs I've had open recently. Here are all the various devices that I've been on with this account. So it'll show me the different tabs that I visited on different devices. Okay. I was just doing dad jokes in one of my classes today. Okay. And if you click up here at the top, just on regular old history, it'll give you a detailed accounting. And you can sort of look back through here just to figure out, oh, here I was at 7 days reading a bunch of articles, etc. I hope nothing embarrassing comes up here. It looks good so far. But I think you get the idea. And that's another thing. You can search through your history this way.